I'm using a glow-in-the-dark yarn and 3.5 mm crochet hook. We're starting with the magic ring, which you have to wrap around your middle finger so that the end of it comes from under your middle finger, and goes from top to bottom, and your working yarn that's on your index finger and the tail crisscross each other, with the tail being on top of the working yarn. So once you pull your working yarn from under the tail, that loop will have something to wrap around, and chain 1 here. And now we're gonna have to work over those 2 strands that are on our finger. So when we pull our tail, it has an extra ring to tighten the stitches. So we are not counting that chain anymore as a stitch, it's just the beginning. And into the ring, we will do 6 single crochets. This is our first one, 2. So there it is, we are right here. Prepare your stitch marker. So a strand of yarn is the best stitch marker, or use a ribbon that does not split. You have to be really careful if you use a yarn so it doesn't split. Going back to the beginning, we're gonna have to tighten that ring a little bit. So listen carefully, it makes a little click sound, if you wanna call it, when it tightens really, really well. Let's see if I can get to the microphone. I hope you are able to hear that. So put your marker under your hook because we're going into the second row. So for the second row, each stitch will get 2 single crochets for a total of 12 single crochets at the end of the row. And I'll meet you at the beginning again. We're back at the beginning, and now it's time to put our marker again for the next row. So this is the working yarn. Grabbing the tail of the marker, I go under the hook. And the previous row shows me where that marker is. That's my first stitch of the next row. So the third row will have an increase, which means we'll have 2 single crochets into that first stitch. And then into the next stitch, we'll have only just 1 single crochet. And then 2 single crochets, 1 single, 2 single, 1 single, for a total of 18 stitches when we are done. Here's the first one. Here's the second one. Making sure that we do not split that marker here. The next stitch gets 1 single crochet. Make sure you do not go into the same one. And here is 1. The next stitch gets 2 single crochets. And then the next one gets 1 single crochet. And that helps that circle stay flat. Back at the beginning again, we'll have 1 more row of increases. So the next row, we'll put our marker under the hook, and we are looking for the marker of the previous row is this stitch. We'll do an increase, so 2 single crochets into that stitch, then 1 single crochet into the next, and 1 single crochet into the next. This will be the next repeat. We're back at the beginning, and we are putting our markers to the front now. So this marker goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, leaving those little marks so we can count our rows. So from row 5 till row 11, we will not going to be increasing anymore. We will just be moving our marker. We will be going in continuous spiral and just no increases, just going in a circle till we have a little tube, and I'll catch you there. So here is our tube, and we can make our ghost smaller or longer, it's up to us. At this point, we are ready to close that gap, but before that, we'll make a little shells here around the ghost. for its outfit, if you want to say. We can also add the eyes at this point. And you can pick a spot here between rows 5 and 6. So we'll be working in the front loops of the ghost because we'll use the back loops to close the gap. So here we'll chain 2 front loop. We will do a double crochet and 1 more double crochet. We'll skip 2 stitches and into the third one do a slip stitch into the front loop only, and then chain 2 into the same front loop, do 2 double crochets, skip 2 stitches into the third one, we'll do a slip stitch into the front loop, and then chain 2, and we'll do 2 double crochets for another shell, and we'll go all around the little ghost just like that. Here how it looks inside. Those back loops are free for us to start decreasing. Alright, so I'm back at the beginning here, and now I can start decreasing but working into the back loops only of my work. I can still use my marker here and put it between my crochet hook and the working yarn, so I can still keep track of my stitches. So I will just move my loop into the back loops here, and I will find a back loop right over here and do a slip stitch so I can just move my loop closer. So now I will be able to decrease. So I will be decreasing through the back loops of those stitches because the front loops, they already have that shell. So I'll grab that one loop and I'll grab one more going from under it. Then I'll pull my single crochet through those loops. And here it is, 1 single crochet. And then into the next single crochet, I will do 1 single crochet. And then I'll have 1 more single crochet into the next stitch, and I will have a decrease again. So I'll be grabbing 2 back loops, pulling my single crochet through there, tightening my stitches, and now it's only 1. So 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, and then a decrease. So that's what I'll be repeating till the end. And you can see here, it's pulling it in now. Those stitches are trying to close that hole. And I'll catch you when I'm done. The next row will be 1 decrease, 1 single crochet, 1 decrease, 1 single crochet. So we are back at the beginning here, and we'll do our 1 decrease. And we can work now through the front loops actually, because now they're exposed. So we'll be grabbing the front loop and the front loop of the next 2 stitches. We'll draw a single crochet, and then into the next stitch we'll just do 1 single crochet, and then we'll have a decrease through the front loops, grab 2 front loops, draw your single crochet, and then 1 single crochet into the next stitch. So we'll go like this till the end of the row, making sure those stitches are tight so we don't get holes in them. Just like that. And you should have 12 stitches. These, we had 24, then we decreased, we got 18, now we should have 12. And I'll meet you when I'm done. Halfway through your row, you have to start stuffing the ghost. And before we do, I want to pull the tail out so I can put my jump ring for the key ring. Even though you have 12 stitches here, and technically a lot of patterns tell you that you can go and decrease 1 more row, it's kind of really hard and almost impossible. So what you do is you finish with your crocheting at this point, you cut your yarn off, remove your marker, and now you have to do the rest of it with your needle. So you kind of imitate crochet stitches, but grabbing them two at a time, going in the same direction. Pulling through the front loops imitates the crochet stitches. So make sure you pull really tight and you go a few times around it. So there, we close the gap. We'll go through the stitches here back and forth and we'll close that hole. Here is our little friend, and it can also have a pumpkin friend here. So here are keychains ready, or you can remove the keychains and make them card decorations with a crocheted chain in between.